We'd like to introduce our lovely guest today, Tanya Ballastrini. Hi, Tanya.
Hi,
Hi, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
wonderful. So, you guys, Tanya is our favorite sexy insurance agent. However, she's also one of the most creative people that I know, and she's going to share all sorts of fun projects. But first, we're just going to dive into our coffee cups. Tanya, we'd love for you to start off first and show us what you're drinking out of.
All right, so I have this mug that is made by Bumble Ceramics. She's actually a local potter here in Connecticut, out of Sterling. But this mug's kind of cool because she even has like etched in wood grain, which I love, and then it's like mountains and a moon. So that's what I got today.
I like
That's really
that.
cool.
It's pretty neat.
What
Thanks.
about you, Tara?
All right, so here's my mug. Mine has birds on it,
Ooh.
but I
Just love the
just
color.
love the color. Yeah,
I borrowed my husband's mug. So he has his little Star Wars, which I always say Baby Yoda, but I guess that's not correct. It's something else. But Baby Yoda, yeah. Uh, awesome. So we are going to show you a bunch of Tanya's things, but we want to talk a little bit about some of the things going on in the community really quick. And one of the things that I came across was Safe Futures, which is an organization that helps people that are not in safe situations to find that calm and to be in a protected space. They are doing what they call the Tree of Hope. And I think we're going to have a guest in the next couple of weeks that really can dive into it. But I did want to let you guys know because the first event is today for it. And essentially, they have all of these tiles. And let me share my screen and just show you what we're looking at. Share screen. So they have all of these tiles, and you paint your own tile, and then they put it together like this in the Tree of Hope. If you guys can see that example. I think this is a really cool project. Have you guys seen this before?
Not by any
I
other
have not.
artists, but I do know about this event just because I belong to the Southeastern Connecticut Women's Network. So I am
Mhm.
planning on purchasing a tile so that way I can help be a part of this. I think it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. How about
It
you,
is
Tara?
very neat.
Yeah,
I have not heard of it, but it seems like it's really a great opportunity to be involved in.
definitely. And so we can see like today at 11:30 at the New London Senior Center, there is some tile painting, but there are 3 other times that you can do this, and 2 of them are on Saturdays. So if that is something that you can do, I would definitely recommend that you do that. Okay, let's put this back. Oh, whoa. Okay, that's better. So that is that. Tara, any updates on your end for things that are going on in the community? I know you've always got your finger on the pulse of good events.
Well, this weekend is Reba at Mohegan Sun. She's there Friday night, which is a big event for us there. So that will be kind of exciting in the entertainment field. So that's what I have to report for this week, but I'm looking forward to Reba coming into town.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys, are you ready to dive into some really big creative projects here?
Yep.
I
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
know. Okay, so what we're gonna do is Tanya shared. Tanya is like she's so fearless when it comes to crafts. Like she'll try anything,
Yep.
and even though sometimes things are intimidating, she'll just try anything. So she sent us a bunch of photos. We're going to ask her to take a look through and just tell us a little bit about the project.
Absolutely.
And here we are. We are starting with this deer. So what are we looking at?
All right. So this is called diamond art. So they're these little plastic, I can't even say bead because it's like a half of a plastic circle.
Mhm.
And they're all labeled and numbered. It's kind of like doing a paint by numbers, but with plastic, I guess.
Hmm.
And there's like an adhesive that you're sticking them on to create the pattern. So I actually did this deer like in between Christmas and New Year's, I guess,
Mhm.
and got very much addicted to them. So I've made a whole bunch since then. This one I have framed. I did do a Santa Claus one, which is framed, but that one's put away. And it's, to me, it can be very intimidating at first because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be so bored doing this because there's so many like meticulous little spots that you're doing. But what I found that it really calmed and centered me.
Nice.
And I liked going color by color versus sections because you can do it kind of however you want to. And you're like peeling up this plastic that covers the adhesive that's on like kind of the canvas background.
Oh, okay.
So that helps keep the stickiness as you're going. So I liked going color by color. So a lot of the times my personal favorite color is red. So I would start with all the reds and the pinks, and then I would get closer and closer to the face too. So that way, again, like with that adhesive, it wouldn't be interruptive through it. But pretty cool, very inexpensive craft. I got this one probably when I was Christmas shopping, looking for stocking stuffers for family members. And I think it was like $8.99, but
Oh, wow.
it lasted me a couple days to do. So that was a really inexpensive project for a low cost, and just the calmingness at Christmas time and having something to do for myself, I found extremely relaxing.
Yeah, because we know it can be crazy around Christmas.
Yes.
Okay. Is this the same kind of idea?
It sure is. So this one's just a fox with a floral wreath. I really loved the color and the dimensions in this one. I haven't framed it yet, but I do plan on incorporating that with my spring decorations. Because what Rebecca and I know about is I constantly am redecorating and recreating my spaces in my house. I need the change up just to kind of keep inspiring me. My mom's also an artist too. Like she did this cherry blossom painting that's behind me. So I have my house not only filled with my own art, her art. I love to buy local art, and then I like to make stuff. So this one I definitely want to incorporate. I actually think I'm going to put it in my guest bathroom because this spring I did like light greens, and it's like more planty, I want to say, if anything. So like the shower curtain has leaves on it, and it's just very calming and soft. And I think, the colors in that will actually go really, really pretty. And then once you put a mat on it too, it really does enhance the picture. So it doesn't just look like a little kid made this.
Nice.
I mean,
I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. Where do you get these from? Are you ordering them online, or is there a particular store that you go to?
honestly, this one's from Walmart, to be honest with you.
Really?
So you can get it at Walmart. You can get them at Michael's. I think sometimes Target might even carry them too. This was actually just in the back of Walmart, like in their arts and crafts section. So they had like an end cap that had all these different designs that you could choose from. It could be like a cityscape, it could be florals, it could be cows, all different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just comes in like a square rectangular box, and then you unroll the canvas, and then inside each of the boxes is labeled bags with each of the colored and the corresponding. So like if you look at the edge of that picture, not that she can zoom in, but it actually has like a key. And so there's a design with like a number, and so you would find the correlating bag to figure out what color and where it's going to go.
Very cool.
Right. I see a lot of these. My daughter loves to do these because they're very calming for her.
Extremely.
However, this one's very detailed.
It is.
There's so much depth to it, which I like.
That's what I really like too, because the background's almost painted like a watercolor, and that's not something that I had to do. It came pre-made like that. And then as you fill out like the florals and the fur and stuff like that, it does give that depth and dimension. So it doesn't look like flat and boring when you're just staring at it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, very nice. And you love plants, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So this is great for you. I love it.
Thank you.
Nice.
This again, same type of thing, but it's one of those like cute hairy cows. I love the colors in this one. This will probably go into more of my like summer fall collection because I have a lot of big sunflowers. Like I'm actually going to change this. Oh no, you won't see it because it's blown out. But above my fireplace, I have this massive sunflower painting that my mom did, and it's one of my favorite paintings in my house. So I'm always like moving it around in different spots because I love it so much, but also just in my basement because I'm an art enthusiast and it's like one of my favorite things to shop for. I have a massive shelf with just pictures stacked on top of it because I'm literally always going around and changing all the artwork because it inspires me.
Nice.
We really need to get
keep it
together
up and stay there forever.
Yeah.
It's probably like every 4 months I'm changing the art in my house.
Right. That's so funny. I didn't realize that. That's what I do all the time. I can't stop. So we have a lot in common.
Absolutely. This one to me was a little bit more like simplistic, kind of feels a little bit childish, but I've actually done a painting that's similar to this. I didn't show it to Rebecca, but I actually painted a turquoise truck for my sister's wedding that in the back of the truck bed had a bunch of florals in it. That's what it reminded me of. So my husband bought me this for Christmas and I just was like, oh, this will be a quick, fun one. I think I did this one in a day. It was very fast.
Nice.
Oh, wow. I really like that. But I do remember your artwork too. So I remember the painting and drawing you did of this. Yeah. Very nice.
So this is actually a watercolor that I have hung in my bathroom. It's a squirrel wearing a flower crown. And I love animals. I live in the woods. And so I feel like this little guy could be hanging out in my backyard at all times. And the interesting part is like between my mom, my sister, and I, we all gravitate towards different types of art. And watercolors is just something that I happened to start doing a few years ago. I found a website called letsmakeart.com and they send you kits in the mail. So it'll, you get everything you need to paint the painting. So you would get like a piece of the watercolor paper, the paints that are going to be in the actual painting, I think a paintbrush or two. And then the only thing I had to get was like a butcher's tray, which you would drop your liquid watercolors on, and then you swish the water into it. And it's neat. I actually think I have it underneath here somewhere. Oh yeah. A little show and tell moment. So you would get a bigger box, but inside, like, these are all the liquid paints that come in here. And then this is the butcher's tray. So it's metal. You can probably find these at like a cool yard sale or thrifting or something like that. But it's a great way to mix up your values of your paint. So if you're adding more water, it can really get lighter. If you want it to be darker, you're really going to keep it super concentrated and just kind of grab what you need. But the nice thing about Let's Make Art is you would follow a YouTube instructional video and you would paint alongside of it. So like very reminiscent of following a Bob Ross painting, but it feels less like I don't think I can make what Bob Ross makes. You know, I feel like he's a little bit intimidating. Like all of a sudden he's painting a happy little tree and I'm like, I don't think mine's going to look like that, but like, here we go. So it's very step by step. You can pause it, work on your painting, come back to it. So during COVID, I started doing a lot of these and would get like a monthly kit. And then I realized I have so much of the paints and stuff now too, that I would just go on their YouTube and you could watch any of their videos for free and just paint alongside of it. Cause I already, as an artist at my house, I already have a ton of this stuff. So I would just find different things to paint, which I thought was fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So this is another one. It's just an iris. Again, it's hung up in my bathroom and it's easier than you think to do, but it's also really fun to blend along with the artist that's creating it. She even has a live version too, where it almost feels like you're sitting with a whole paint class. So, especially during COVID when we really weren't going out, you felt like you still had community. And then they also have like a Facebook group page where people would share their art too. And, you know, they'd lift you up and they would tell you like, oh, I really like this, or maybe you should add some shading in this area to give it dimension. So whether you're at home or you want to take a class or something like that, like I just know that in the art world, you can find community like wherever you are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially like when I first got my Cricut, I found all these communities for Cricut makers, you know,
Yeah.
and they're working on really cool stuff and you get inspired.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like cute rubber boots with flowers in it. Very spring. Again, this was another class tutorial that I just watched, and I like it. It makes me happy. I stare at it, and you know, it's nothing extravagant. I don't think that like I'm the greatest painter in the universe, but like when you're just starting out, you're like, you know what? I get what that is. I see it. It looks like it's supposed to, and you go from there. I think now I could probably do it a little bit better, but I was still really proud of what I did. And, you know, you can get a cheap frame at Michael's, like in a pack, and then put, you know, the second that you're putting your art in any kind of frame, it elevates it and it gives you something to feel prideful for.
And it's got to be a great feeling to be like, I made that, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I know, like, as I'm making anything, my husband's always coming out and he's looking at it and he's like, oh, that's really cool. Like, we need to save this one. Don't sell this or don't give this one away because I like it. I want you to hang it up. And that always makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is completely different. This is called Neurographic Art. And so what you're essentially doing, I just made mine into jellyfish. But you're going to make like squiggly lines on a piece of paper. And then wherever the lines intersect, like a, you know, like a cross or whatever, you're going to smooth it out by making like a rounded edge. And it's supposed to, on purpose, calm your mind. So, because you're just really paying attention to rounding out those harsh angles. So I made mine into jellyfish because the tentacles, you know, are super squiggly and fun, and who doesn't like jellyfish because they have so much movement and flow into them. So I just did this in my sketchbook, just found it extremely relaxing. And it's definitely something worth trying, especially if you're feeling anxious or stressed out or, I don't know, a little bit overwhelmed. This style of art it's good to try. And it was something I've never done in my life, but I was like, ooh, I saw this as a Facebook video. I'm going to give it a go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one, again, it's like same style. I just was going into it with more of an idea that I wanted it to look like a sunset. Kind of looks like a sunset, kind of looks like a sunflower with water. Like, I don't know, it can be whatever you want it to be. And you can paint it how you want to. But if you had taken the color away, it's going to just look insane. It's just going to look like squiggly, crazy lines. But then once you add the colors to it, you know, it really kind of brings the picture to life, which is pretty cool.
It really does.
Thanks. Yep. So I probably sent you like 20 of these. Yeah. So again, I was playing with lines. I was playing with the roundedness and the angles, and, you know, made it somehow into like a mountain with rolling hills and like a river in the front. But you don't even have to do that. Like, you could just do a whole bunch of circles on a page, like trace a bottle cap and then put some lines through it if you wanted to. And then wherever the circles interlap, you know, you shade that in, and that can look like a really cool bubble painting, which I think I sent something circular like that to Rebecca to show you too. This one's a tree.
One of the things I used to do with my grandfather, and it was likely because I was just asking a ton of questions and he wanted me to sit down and be quiet, but he showed me how to do this, you know, something similar, like you were saying, where you trace objects. So he would have me go find 10 objects in the house, have me bring them all to the paper, and then we would trace them, and then I was supposed to color in different areas, and they actually would come out pretty cool, and like you would never know what you were going to get.
Right.
And you know, it's something, and I think people may look at some of your things and feel a little intimidated, but I want people to remember, just put your pen to the paper or your pencil to the paper and draw. Just draw
Yes.
anything and it will relax you and calm you.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, like, yes, so this is a perfect example. I think I just took like the bottom of a bowl and just traced a whole bunch of circles all over the page, overlapping all over
Yep,
the
see
place,
these
and then
overlaps.
just filled them in with little designs and dots and squiggles and um, different coloring. I'm sorry, my dog is very vocal. He's moaning because he wants to be pet. Um, but it's really relaxing, and I'm not normally somebody who gravitates toward abstract art, and that's probably why this is more in my notebook. Like I am more of like a painting or a photography type of wall art just display type of person. But for something when I'm looking as a release to anxiety, like having a sketchbook is so healthy and so helpful as like a creative outlet for me. I'm an insurance agent by day. That can get kind of mundane, a little bit boring. I do love my job a lot, but I'm a creative at heart. So having something to do to kind of change up my brain also is really helpful, because sometimes I just need to step away for a little bit, make something, and then I can come back and be able to create a solution to a problem or help a customer a little bit more, because I allowed myself that space to reflect and kind of change my mindset.
Nice. I love that.
So some daisies. Again, this is still that neurographic art style. Like if you look at the top, like where the grays are, you can really see where like those lines intersect, that I was just kind of smoothing them out a little bit. I didn't do that so much with the actual flower petals, but it kind of gives like a stained glass feel to it. And I just did this with markers. You know what I mean? Like it can be as simple and basic as you want it to be. You can use crayons. You could go into it with watercolors. You really can make it what you want. I think it would be very interesting to do this on like a canvas with oil paint. And maybe even give it some texture. So I am thinking about trying something like that, making it a little bit chunky and a little three-dimensional. I think that could be really cool. But it's so fun to play with like different mediums. Like you could use crayons and add pastels into it if you wanted to, and just play. It's so fun.
Yeah.
I get so inspired looking at different artists all the time. Like there's a girl on Facebook or TikTok that I watch called KT Canvases, and she makes these paintings that I'm like, I think I could do that. And the way her mind works is so beautiful, because she's just talking, having a regular conversation with you while she's painting it. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like that is amazing. And she's used everything from watercolors to pastels to oil on canvas. So she has a lot of different mediums. She may even go with like a sparkly marker. And really kind of define different areas and textures. I love this Frankenstein. I think the drippiness of it is super cool. This again was a Let's Make Art project, so this didn't come out of my brain. I'm not actually one of those that just like sits and paints whatever. I am a visual person, so I do like to have something to look at, to go off of, and kind of inspire me. I mean, there's very few occasions that I'll sit here and just paint whatever I'm looking at, but I usually don't like how it turns out. So when I have like a guide or like an end result of something that I want to make my own interpretation of, that's something that helps me. And I know everybody's different in art.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tara, do you just paint from whatever excuse me, whatever's in your mind?
Yes. So yeah, because we have a lot in common, I think your artwork is amazing. I went to art school since I could hold a crayon in my hand. So I actually started drawing on a cardboard box when I was younger, and my dad said to my mom at Christmas time, I think we better get her into art school. So I've spent my whole life in art school. So I know a lot of mediums and stuff like that, but I would like to just out there to you. Do you think that maybe you should try doing some in larger scale? Because I think larger scale is it's going to capture somebody's eye. In your
Absolutely.
design, in the way that you create, is kind of unique. So when I went into art school, this is what they taught me. Stick with one lane. Like if you like painting, a certain way, that technique, and put your artwork in art shows so you stand out. You don't want to like paint a tree and then a cat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it'll be, if you do, it has to all be the same.
Right.
So the same kind of artwork, so you capture that attention by somebody walking by versus
Yeah, make like a
a cat.
series.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it all has to have the same sequence of it. So I guess that would be something that, maybe you could try in a larger scale on canvas, because a lot of people are looking for, big pieces for a larger wall. But I really do think that you have something going on there.
Thank you. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever produced any of the big canvases. And like you said, that's what I gravitate to when I am buying art, or even when I'm taking pieces
Yeah.
from my mom. The bigger ones, the better, because I love it. I love how much space it takes up. I do love a gallery wall too. I mean, I have different setups for different things in my house, but I do like things on a big scale. The part that's
Mm-hmm.
intimidating to me, and I think why I haven't tried a larger canvas, is I don't know if
Okay.
I can do the proportions correctly, but it definitely would be something worth trying and
Yeah.
experimenting. I do have a basement
So,
full of canvases of like everything.
yeah. But if you're just painting, so like the circle artwork that you did, where you were just tracing the top of whatever circle you used. I don't know, did you use a bowl or whatever?
Yeah,
Just even something like that large scale, I don't I think it would come out really nicely, because you have the skill there. I can see it, and I think in a large form, it's going to be more dramatic.
I agree. I'll
But
definitely have to try
you
that.
could And if you are intimidated with the large scale, then do like smaller ones, but like maybe, a larger canvas, but three of them. So it's like a
Oh, you
triptych,
can put them
and
together. Yeah.
put them all together so it's not so intimidating, where you could start, in the middle of a canvas and then throw it onto the other portion of the canvas. So, maybe it's not one large canvas, it's three of them
I like
separated.
that. That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you do have something there, like even any of that, even the clouds or whatever you have. I think that the abstract,
Hmm.
um, it won't like limit you to like a little, like an 8 by 10 or 11 by 14. Just
Right.
expand a little bigger.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, I'm
Yeah.
here to try different things, and thank you for like seeing me and seeing that I could have potential to
Yeah.
make something
Yeah.
interesting on a larger scale. To me, I've always
I,
just been intimidated that, because then I'm like, well, if it sucks, I can tuck it away and nobody will see it.
but
So,
but you know what? But I get what you're saying, because that is definitely an artist, thinking when we're painting, right? But it's just you and the paintbrush. Nobody sees it until you reveal it. So even if you have to go over it a couple times, who's going to know,
right.
Yeah.
That's very true.
right? And it's what's in your mind. So whatever's creative in your mind, that's artwork. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about what you just painted. It's your work. It came from your mind, and you're the one putting it out there.
Hmm.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry. I have these two dogs that
No.
just, need to be around me at all times. And I was hoping to go off camera with them, but they weren't allowing it. So I apologize.
I love this, Tanya. I love I mean, for me, those fall colors, I always
I
gravitate towards those.
absolutely. This one was me honestly just playing around. This was not a visual. I mean, because I don't think in nature you're going to find one branch that's going to have every color leaf on it. But again, like
Yeah.
you, I'm so drawn to those fall colors that I was imagining, like, what if I put like a burgundy mat on this, and then behind that mat was an orange
Ooh.
mat, and then it was in like a chunky, like cool brown frame, or even a gold frame. I feel like adding that extra depth to it would be really pretty. And the colors
Mhm.
were fun. And I mean, just drawing a stick with some leaves on it is not challenging. And then you're just kind of swishing around the water on the background. You can take a blow dryer to it and kind of blow the water so it bleeds into other parts. You don't have to do that. You can simply just take your notebook or your paper and kind of rock it back and forth if you want to while it's drying. There's so much different stuff that you can do. And I think that's what's so fun to me about art is like, it could just be whatever. You can just play around with it. I know in watercolor too, which I thought was really neat, and I never learned about it till I started taking some of those Let's Make Art classes, is if you add coarse salt, like sea salt, like nice grainy texture one, and you throw it on top of the watercolor, it makes these cool like sunbursts in a way, and it blows out the picture. So if you're drawing like a snowy background and adding some of that salt onto it, the way that it bleeds it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Plus it's fun. You feel like you're doing a weird science experiment. And it's a little bit chunky at first, but then once it's completely dry, you can take like a dry paintbrush to it and just kind of brush it off. So it doesn't have to stay there. But it's just so fun. That's the part that I just love about art is it can be whatever, you know, and if it sucks, throw it away. Like nobody has to see it. But if you had a fun time in making it, then that's really all that matters.
That's funny that you mentioned the salt, because when I was in high school, there was this other program that I got into, and it was essentially it was a graphic design class, but we were in this trio of classes that was called the Communications Academy. So it was our graphic design, it was TV production, and fine art. And then I was in there for 2 years, and for a couple weeks out of your year, you got to go visit one of the other classes and learn what they're doing. So when we got to the fine art one, my teacher, our graphic design teacher, was like, I'm watching her put salt on her painting, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, just watch what it does. So thank you for bringing that memory back. But that was, like the salt thing is really cool.
It is. You can even do it on like an ornament. Like I had found some wooden ornaments, whether it's at Dollar Tree or Dollar General, Michael's, whatever craft store that you want. You can glue on a piece of watercolor paper and then add your paints to it. You can put the salt on it. You could just let it be abstract and kind of bleed all over the place. You could make a design on it if you wanted to. I know a lot of times, sometimes I just like to make art to give away as gifts for Christmas time or a Secret Santa at work. Like my boss has a painting, and he's so sweet. Every year when he hangs it up at Christmas time, he's like, I'm just so touched that you made me this piece as a present for Christmas. And I love to share it and put it up with my family every year as part of like our tradition of like hanging decorations. So he always sends me a picture of where it is that year, whether it's like on a bookshelf or it's on a wall. But it's, you know, I think that part's also really fun, is just sharing your art with somebody else, especially if it's unexpected. You know, who doesn't like a little homemade gift?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun. I love owls. I have owls in my backyard probably daily, and I get so excited when I hear them hooting and hollering. Sometimes they sound like monkeys because they're cat calling to each other in the backyard, and it's hilarious. This type of owl is not in my yard. We have more of like the barred owls and the screech owls here, or like a eastern mountain one. I think this one's one of those like snowier owls. Sometimes they can be completely white. This one had a little bit of brown to it, but I think owls are super cool. And for whatever reason, they remind me of my grandmother. And I think it's because I used to watch Sword in the Stone so much at her house, and one of the characters in that movie is an owl. And so I think my brain just thinks of like, oh, do you remember when we were little, we would put on like the old Disney VHS tape and we'd sit in front of the box TV with our crayons and our markers, and, you know, she'd be cooking, making big Italian dinners upstairs, and me and my sister would just be downstairs having some quiet time and painting and watching Sword in the Stone. So yeah, I don't know. That's super random brain tangent, but
yeah. And I believe this is our last one, our last example from you.
Yes.
What are we looking at?
So this is actually like oyster shells. So
Ooh.
I would take like an oyster shell, or you could probably take any shell that you find at the beach. I would really just clean the crap out of it, whether you're going to like bleach it or something, because first off, you don't want it to stink. Okay. So you can also just buy craft shells at a craft store. Okay. And then this is really fun. This is done with Mod Podge and like a gold paint pen and a decorative napkin. So you could go to TJ Maxx, you could go to Michael's, you could go to the dollar store and find really, really pretty napkins. And what you're going to do is you're going to peel the picture part of the napkin away from like the white background. Okay. And then you can cut it with a pair of scissors, and you're going to place it on your shell, and you'll just Mod Podge over it, and it adheres to it, and it dries pretty quick. And then I just took like a gold kind of like Sharpie paint pen and traced the rim of it. But I did this at a friend's beach cottage as like a little bridal shower that she threw me last year. None of us had ever done it, but like such an easy craft to do with your girlfriends while you're, having mimosas, or you don't even, you could just drink water and make really, really pretty shells and display them. I actually have these like sitting on a windowsill in my bedroom, because it just adds a little bit of visual interest. I'm a big flower lover just by nature. So this one has like a blue hummingbird in it, the bottom one, and the top one has a butterfly, obviously with the flowers. And we just had like, I think 1 or 2 different napkin patterns to work with, but you can overlap the different napkins on top of each other if you wanted to create different designs. I know you can take classes where people make these. This was just one that we just sat around a table on her patio with Mod Podge, a couple paintbrushes, napkins, and that's it. Like very inexpensive, and something fun that you could do this summer as you're hunting and collecting some shells. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, you are definitely trying a little bit of everything, and I love that.
I sure am. I mean, just in the last couple months, I went to a hat making class where I made a beautiful like fedora hat. I have it actually right here.
Okay, because I was like, wait a minute, you did send me that.
So you get the basic hat, and then she had a bunch of jewelry scraps. So I took some like an old junk turquoise necklace, an old pearl necklace. This is just like a leather belt piece. And then she had this part actually was on a full chain link belt, and we cut off a little piece, and then we just glued everything together. I put some peacock feathers on, and like it's so pretty and fashionable. And it was such a fun class. You can take some really cool ones at this place called Gifts on the Green in Colchester. It's right above Oz and Bones restaurant. So they give you a discount to go get drinks downstairs, or you take the class and then you can go downstairs and have dinner with friends. So I'm always looking for like little creative outlets or a little girls' night activity. So that was fun. I've taken a chunky blanket class and I've never knit in my entire life. So that felt very intimidating to me. But I made this full lap blanket in 2.5 hours, and I've never done it in my life. And it was awesome. So I just encourage people to just try something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's the worst that can happen,
Yes.
Tara, have you ever made your own hat? You like wearing hats.
No, I have not. I think I'm just so creative in houses, and I have to like stop for a second, I think, and just start being creative in other areas. But during the pandemic and everything, I was painting a lot, but I know we talked off camera briefly about this, but for me, I have to find another outlet that isn't creative, where everybody tends to go to creative when they need an outlet. I, on the other hand, need to go do something, ride a horse or something like that, or play in the dirt outside in my garden. I don't know. I used to have horses, so I feel like I'm going back to that. Maybe I need to go to lessons or ride a horse or pet a horse, something like that. I feel like that's where I'm going.
I can lend you Stella for a little while if you want. She's horse-like. And
Oh, okay. I'll take her.
Kara, I actually went horseback riding for the first time since I was like 4 years old, a couple months ago at a place. I think it's technically, it could be Colchester. It's called Stirrup Farms Stables, and
Okay.
it's a like a nonprofit. And so when you're purchasing like your lesson or your ride, it essentially goes to help the horses, to help feed them, and to raise funds. And I haven't ridden a horse since I was 4 years old. So I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to do it or wasn't going to be able to control it. But I did it with a group of girlfriends. We kind of gave our information to the horse trainer or whatever as to like, how do we have experience? Like, are you comfortable with horse? How long has it been? Have you never done it? And she paired you up with, horses based on like what your personality was. And I think we just went on like an hour and a half ride through the woods. I think it was maybe $55 or $65. We did it in the fall and it was beautiful. Like such a cool thing. I never would have thought like, hey, I'm going horseback riding this weekend, but I did. A couple of friends from work and I, like, we are always just looking for bucket list items, and a few of us had never ridden a horse before.
Oh, that's
So
so
there
cool.
are places that you could just randomly take a ride if you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to get that information. What is it again? It's in Colchester, you said?
I think it's Colchester. I could be wrong. I will still send you the link, but it's called like Stirrup
Okay,
Farm
perfect.
Stables. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah,
So funny
That
story.
would be fun.
When on Block Island, you can also do that and do sunset rides with the horses.
Oh, cool.
So they bring you down like this path. So me and a couple of friends were out there, and Joy was very nervous to get on the horse. And the instructor person was like, now, as we're getting closer to the beach, they're like, now just know that sometimes the horses like to, drop down and then roll in the sand. So if that happens, you just, hop right off as they're going down. And she's like, what? You're going to give me the death roll here? So she's freaking out about it.
Yeah.
And then I think my horse was, there was something going on where I couldn't really, I don't know if the feet stirrup things weren't working or something was going on. And they're like, just don't worry about it. Your horse is going to be fine. And I'm just like, all right, for my next trick here. So it was a lot of fun, and we got some really great pictures, and they take pictures of you guys like along the water, and all of that. So, and then fun fact, like they go on Dory Beach and they let the horses poop on Dory Beach. So don't make that your beach to sunbathe, but it's a beautiful beach. And it was just a lot of fun. And once we all got back safely, everyone was laughing, but it was definitely funny because of all the things that they were saying. And I'm like, I get it. If I was a horse, I'd want to roll around in the sand too, like a dog would, and just get the itches out. But
right.
I could just imagine that happening while we're riding.
I know my horse.
Did she ever get on the horse? Oh,
What's that?
Sorry. Did she ever get on the horse? Did she ever get on the horse? Did Joy ever get on?
She did end up
okay.
I'm sitting there trying to like support her and be there for her as she's going on, and I was too close and she just kicked me right in the stomach. I'm like, all right, I'm glad you're good. I'll get on my horse now. Joy, I hope you're laughing. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I believe Jennifer was there too, and we just went out, and that was one of the things we never did while we were out there. And the sunset tour was just really, it was a little bit more expensive. I don't remember it being crazy expensive, but it was a little bit more. I think my biggest thing is always like my weight. I'm like, am I going to break this horse right now? So.
I felt the same way. I was like, did I meet like a weight requirement or limit or something like that? And they're like, you're fine. Like, don't worry about it. And I do know that there are weight limits and requirements depending on where you go, but it didn't make me feel as self-conscious as I thought I was going to be. I thought they were going to be like, nope, we don't have a horse for you. And I'd be like, okay, have a nice ride, everybody. I'm just going to go home.
Yeah. So, yeah. All good fun.
Absolutely.
I loved your things that you're working on. I think you're doing so many cool projects, and I want to be there for some of them.
Hey, I'm always loving a time like a craft day or a girls' night,
Mhm.
or hey, just get out of the house. I feel like we're very fortunate to be around so many different places that
Mm.
house different like
Mhm.
art activities, whether you're going to Pinspiration in East Lyme. That's where I took the chunky blanket class. There's a
Mhm.
place in Colchester that you can take a ceramics class. I made like a pumpkin out of clay. I don't have
Mm.
any clay experience. That was really fun. But they also just do have regular like paint your own pottery there, or they can make the sea glass Christmas trees.
Yes.
Um, I'm always looking at the different like bars and restaurants that are featuring some kind of creative outlet, whether it's a like charcuterie board making class or
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to try it all.
Right.
Tanya does it
And,
all kind of thing.
and G's Country Barn, they actually had a sea glass class this past weekend. And I know she's doing more of those. We've had G's Country Barn focused or featured on the show before. So if you want to support them, they are doing a bunch of those classes as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank
Nice.
you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was worthy of being able to come on
Oh
and
my
do
gosh.
this because I'm not like a
Oh,
creative by my profession, just as an outlet. So it was really fun to
Yeah.
sit and talk art with you ladies,
yeah.
and I just appreciate the time. Thank you.
As do we.
Absolutely. Yes, this was nice. I love it.
Definitely. All right, Tara, close us out.
All right, everyone. So a smile goes a long way. Remember, always be kind. You never know what anyone's going through. Thank you for being with us this week on this gloomy Monday, but we look forward to being with you again next week. Have a wonderful week. Thank you again for being with us.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.